was talking about Cuba.
Yeah.
And just like this, you've been to Cuba. I think I'm Canadian, been to Cuba.
Yes, I've been to
Like,
Cuba a number of times.
so like they're basically shutting down Veradero now. They have already shut down Keokoko.
Really? Like for tourism?
Their number one economy is like doctor coercion, right? They send their doctors abroad and they force them. They basically,
Yeah, they send them. That was the deal. That's how they got their oil, was basically trading doctors.
Right. They send them. So they doctor
security.
and they take a fee and they give the doctor a little bit. The number two is tourism.
Yeah.
And the number one is Canada. And so Canada is now there's nobody flying there anymore. So that's dead.
And what's the reason? Why is nobody going to Cuba from Canada?
There's no fuel.
There's no fuel. Oh, they just can't run the country.
They literally cannot.
Wow.
So like they're right now in a death spiral. There's no getting out of this. What's next now? Because this is pretty much, this was their last lifeline, was Canadian tourism.
So
and now Sunwing, Air Canada, nobody will fly there now. Nobody's flying in.
That's crazy. I had no idea about that. Yeah, well, right. I guess if you're like, you can't reliably leave there, then that's that. I mean, time to cut a deal with America, I guess.
I don't think they're going to cut a deal, though. I think the regime is going to hold on, and this is going to get really, I don't think there's going to be any kind of clean transition. I don't think Marco is going to be president next year.
No, I don't think Marco Rubio is going to be president next year. Although, again, he is like a Cuban American. So
maybe 5 years.
You know he's got a fucking, he has a hard on.
Though. One day.
Maybe. I mean, if he became president of Cuba, he could probably turn that place around into like a fucking, like the Cuba of like the 50s, like a real good place to live. Yeah, I don't know. Like, unless they're somehow, they probably can't even get oil from like Russia or China.
Nobody.
Nobody. Right?
There's just so many things going on that these scabs. There's so many in the last few years that have just been status quo for so long, just crumbling in just a very short order, just one after another. Like, it's hard to keep track of all the happenings. But
from
Cuba,
what I understand,
like about to collapse.
Yeah, like they were even with getting free oil from Venezuela, they were kind of hanging on by a thread at all times. So, I mean, at some point, if food's not reliably available there, which I imagine, I'm sure they're having massive power outages. There's probably going to be water issues. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be something crazy. Like, either they're having like a crazy humanitarian issue, at which point maybe America just goes in and you're like, all right, well, we're not going to let, I don't know how many millions of people live in Cuba, but not going to let them die. Not 60 miles from the coast of Florida. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure Cuba didn't see this coming. Maybe they did, but I mean, if you shut them off from having oil, you're like, you could see how stuff would get really bad really fast. I had no idea that the tourism stuff was just over there.
So this is just recently. So they've issued like notice to all airmen, like no flights in, because there's no way to get out. You wouldn't be able to leave again. And there's nothing coming. There's naval embargo in place. Air was the only thing that they were really doing.
Yeah, this is literally 1 minute ago. City News: WestJet is suspending its winter flight program to Cuba, and initiating an orderly wind down of operations amid a deepening fuel crisis that is now disrupting. Holy shit, Cuba is fucked. Yeah, I mean, look, like Marco Rubio and Trump have said in the last month, they go, yeah, Cuba has a real problem. They do not have a lot of time. So I don't know. I mean, you can guess that they're not going to just willfully concede here.
No,
be like, all right, you
like
got us.
They're like the KGB people. They're people that were protecting Maduro. Like, they're the fanatical people. The real revolutionaries.
Yeah,
they're not just going to cut a deal with the Americans.
That's crazy. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think it sounds like there is some, like the U.S. is basically stopping even if like Russia or China wanted to give them oil. I don't think the U.S.
They're not capable. Russia is not really capable now.
I don't even think they're allowed though.
Well. They can't do anything.
Yeah,
nobody can help them. Everybody's just helpless to. their regional interests these days.
Yeah, it says right here,
Cuba is the latest domino to fall.
Sunwing removed 26 Cuban hotels from its offering due to constant blackouts currently affecting the country.
Yeah, so what was happening was they were basically, this was just a little while ago, they've been managing this crisis. So there was like the northern part of Cuba, and for the American listener, Cuba is like kind of just a discount vacation spot. It's not as good if you go to Mexico or even the
No, it's the worst. It is the. I remember
cheap.
like
it's kind of for cheap, and it's full of French, Canadians.
French Canadians. I remember like 15 years ago, you could go to like one of these like shitty like 3-star, which is more like a 1-star or like 2-star all inclusives for a week for like $500 Canadian for like a week.
Very, very inexpensive. And the locals are there throwing the chicken wings and the bones in the pool and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, but anyway, so like
good.
they're parts of the parts of Cuba are essentially for only tourists. And what's interesting about Cuba is that in their economy, you can be a doctor or, a lawyer. You're making less than somebody who is interacting with tourists.
Yeah. That was always the thing where
rich people in the country. And so now that these resorts are closed down, these people that were in the power brokers around the tour have nothing. Now they have lost.
I remember that was a thing there where you're like, the guy who runs like the show at the resort, like he makes more than a doctor because he gets tips. Like, tourists give him, like a few US dollars here and there. Like that guy makes more than a doctor because he probably makes like 50 or $100 a week.
They would sell on the black market. They couldn't get toiletries. They couldn't get like
that was another thing when I went
magazines and stuff.
When I went there, like I remember my ex-girlfriend at the time or my girlfriend at the time, but that was the thing when you go to Cuba, you bring like we went to the Dollarama and we bought all these like like toothbrushes and toiletries because they're like they can't get these, and we gave them to like the like the housekeepers and stuff and like the guys who like worked at the hotel, and they were like so thankful for it because it was like I remember thinking like really they can't get this stuff, and they were like no they can't.
They sell it on the black market, but
maybe they whatever they sell it, but it's a huge deal to just give them like some toothpaste and some toothbrushes and shit.